Ken Trahan with St. Charles Catholic football coach, athletic director Frank Monica. And Frank, obviously everyone's talking about Proposition 18, and for good reason. And there's so many ways to go with this. And you and I both fully understand why people feel the way they do. You've been on both sides of the fence coaching in public schools and in private schools, so you get it and why they feel like they do. But sometimes when you enact legislation, the details, well, the devil's in the details. And if you do this, then there's so many other boxes that will be wide open. I think that's probably the biggest concern, isn't it?
No question. I think, Kenny, the post beat that I get right now is that 18 probably will pass, and I can understand that from the public school viewpoint. The only thing is, it's a complicated item. That details have not been worked out. There are only 2 divisions for the select schools and whatnot, and we're being one of them. And we're a 3A school with 195 boys.
3A loses.
Yeah, 3A is that buffer zone. They're in between the smaller class and the higher class, whatnot. Someone might amend it on the floor to have a third class. That will certainly help and take the sting out of it a little bit. Naturally, we all wanted to stay like it is because the LHSAA has been a tremendous organization over the years. The Superdome Classic has been, I think, one of the more prestigious things that we've done nationwide, and whatnot. And I think that's something we tend to lose that and lose it a lot with the LHSAA. And there's always a possibility that some people the LHSAA might splinter. And that's what I'm concerned about. I mean, in terms of that. So the LHSAA, if this passes as we know it, will not be the same.
In fact, there could be a separate organization ultimately.
That's what I understand. And that separate organization could end up being a number of different conferences and people that want to go their own way, whatnot. And there's potential in that. But even so, with this item that we see, there's a lot of things that have to be worked out. And it looks like they're going to pass the item and leave it up to the executive committee to come up with the details. And I don't know if that's a good idea in itself.
Well, again, you mentioned 3A. That's the biggest disadvantage anybody could have is nobody signed up to play 5A. Then there's the schools that elected to play up from 2A to 3A. We know John Curtis and Evangel did, but they weren't the only ones, and someone in the room raised the question about we did this not knowing that this proposal was going to come up and maybe be passed. You talk about being at a tremendous disadvantage. Shouldn't they be allowed to take their proposal back and say, I want to go back to 2A?
And not so fast. That's exactly right. I mean, I don't think that's going to take place. I mean, right now they've elected to play up and they have to stay there. On the flip side of it, suppose you elected to stay where you are, but you want to go the other. Now you want to play up yourself. Sure. From that standpoint, like us, because we considered going to moving up to 4A at one time, and not thinking that we can compete, but we thought that the district that we can get in would be something that would be advantageous to our football program.
7 championships too many, in your opinion, for football?
I definitely think it does. Especially you look at the Class A, the way that it's orchestrated. Class A would have 28 rather. They'd have to come up with all those buys on the agenda. And I just think that the whole thing. I agree with you. How are you going to play all these games in the Superdome, and whatnot? Logistically, that would be a nightmare.
Frank, thanks for the visit. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Kenny.